Mom, what made you take a profession at the zoo?
I always liked animals, and growing up, Grandpa and I used to go to the zoo a lot, and we had a lot of animals. We had a lot of animals, and we went to a lot of the little zoos like Cosley's, and so I always wanted to work with animals. So then I went to college and got a degree in biology so that I could work at the zoo.
What was your highlight at the zoo?
Um, I liked, well, I worked at the two different zoos. When I worked at the smaller zoo, I, I really liked working with the tigers. Cujo was very cool to work with. He was an 800-pound Siberian Bengal mixed tiger that we could kind of play with through the bars and pet. And he was a lot of fun to take care of. And then I really enjoyed working with elephants at Kansas because they were very smart, and I did training with them. And I worked on operant conditioning with them and taught them how to do certain things. And I also did it for husbandry behaviors like cutting their nails, because captive elephants have a tendency to get hurt their pads on their feet, so they can die from that. So you have to be careful, and you have to train them to do some of those things so they don't get hurt. So probably the elephants and the tigers were my favorite.
What was the most tragic event that happened at the zoo?
When I did my internship at Brookfield Zoo with the dolphins, we also had a walrus there who got an infection in his tusk, and Bolka died. And it was very tragic trying to nurse him back to health, and we had to rent a semi because he weighed so much that we couldn't transport him to the veterinary hospital. So we had to rent a semi, and he did end up dying. So that was really tragic.
How many zoos did you work with? What were they, and which was your favorite?
I worked at Brookfield for my internship. I worked at Land O'Laurin for another about a year, and then I worked in Kansas for another year. So I worked at 3 different zoos. My favorite is probably the littler zoo, Land O'Laurin, just because the animals were tame and they had been around a lot of humans and people, so they were very friendly and interesting. We had a lot of weird animals, like the liger, who was part lion and tiger, named Patrick, and we had a donkey named Zeb, who was part zebra and part donkey. So we had a lot of interesting animals at that. We had a little miniature horse. We had some neat animals at that little zoo.
Okay, so what was your favorite animal, and what was the best time you had with that animal?
Favorite animal. I would say probably my favorite animal was the rhino, Howdy, because Howdy, the one in Kansas, he had a skin condition, so they had to take care of him a lot, and they had to rub some special ointment on his skin because he got very sick, and we had this special jello that we used to have to make him to feed him his medicine, so it was like this grainy, grassy gelatin stuff. That's how we got him to take his medicine. But he was pretty cool, and he had a big lip that he used to grab stuff with, and he would take bread from you, and he was very friendly, and He was pretty cool. I liked Howdy. He was probably one of my favorites to work with and take care of.
Okay, thank you.